The day I discovered my mother had drained my college fund, I was sitting in our kitchen, surrounded by acceptance letters from universities I'd never attend. My hands trembled as I stared at the bank statement, the numbers blurring before my eyes. Zero. A big fat zero where my future should have been. My name is Victoria, and at 18 I learned that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. What do you mean it's gone? I gripped the phone tighter, fighting back tears as I spoke with the bank representative. There has to be some mistake. That account had over $40,000 in it last month. I'm sorry, miss, but the account holder, Yesenia Ramos, withdrew the full amount on April 15th. The date hit me like a punch to the gut. April 15th, the day my mother had her emergency plastic surgery. I'd noticed her face looked different when she came home, but she'd brushed it off as just a little self-care. Vicky? My brother Leonel's voice startled me as he walked into the kitchen. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I hung up the phone and pushed the bank statement across the table. Mom took it. All of it. My entire college fund. Leonel picked up the paper, his face darkening as he read. No way. She wouldn't. She did. I stood up, pacing the kitchen. Remember her new face? Guess how much a facelift costs these days. Jesus Christ. He ran his hands through his hair. Have you talked to her? She's at her spa day with her friends. I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. Probably celebrating her new look with my future. Leonel pulled me into a hug and I finally let the tears fall. What am I going to do? UCLA is waiting for my deposit by next week. We'll figure something out, he said. But we both knew there weren't many options. He was barely making ends meet at his new job, and Dad hadn't been in the picture since I was 12. That evening, when Mom finally came home, she breezed through the front door like nothing was wrong. Her face was noticeably tighter, her smile wider, but all I could see was the price tag hanging over her head. Mom, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. We need to talk about my college fund. She froze for a split second before continuing to arrange her purse on the counter. Oh, honey, I've been meaning to discuss that with you. Sometimes in life, we have to make difficult choices. Difficult choices? I stood up, knocking my chair backward. You stole my future for a facelift. Don't be so dramatic, Victoria. She touched her cheek delicately. This was an investment in our family's image. Besides, community college is a perfectly respectable option. Leonel stepped between us. Mom, that money was for Vicky's education. How could you— I am still your mother, she snapped, her new face flushing red. I don't have to justify my decisions to my children. My phone buzzed, a reminder about the UCLA deposit deadline. The sight of it made me sick. You're right, I said quietly. You don't have to justify anything, and I don't have to forgive you. I walked out of the kitchen, ignoring her calls behind me. In my room, I pulled out my laptop and started researching community colleges. If she thought this would break me, she was wrong. 3 hours later, Leonel knocked on my door. Hey, got a minute? I nodded, and he sat on the edge of my bed. I talked to Uncle Jack, he said. He might be able to help with some loans. No. I turned my laptop around, showing him the application I'd just completed. I'm enrolling in Valley Community College. I'll work part-time, take classes, and figure it out myself. I'm done depending on this family. Vicky! My phone rang, cutting him off. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Victoria? A woman's voice, professional and crisp. This is Margaret from Student Services at Valley Community College. We received your application, and I wanted to discuss our work-study program. We have an immediate opening in our design department that might interest you. I caught Leonel's eye as I listened to Margaret detail the opportunity. He gave me a small smile and squeezed my hand. Yes, I said into the phone, straightening my spine. I'm very interested. After I hung up, Leonel pulled me into another hug. You're going to be okay, you know that? I know. I wiped my eyes, looking at the acceptance letters still scattered across my desk. But she's going to regret this. Maybe not today, maybe not soon, but someday. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Mom. We need to talk about your attitude, young lady. I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges once burned should stay ashes. 8 years can change everything. I stood at the window of my corner office 30 stories above Seattle watching the morning fog roll in from the bay. The scared 18-year-old girl who'd enrolled in community college felt like a stranger now. "Earth to Victoria!" Louisa's voice pulled me from my thoughts. She leaned against my doorframe, 2 coffee cups in hand. "You're doing that brooding thing again." "I prefer to call it contemplative reflection," I said, accepting the coffee she offered. "Thanks for this." "So," she perched on my desk, "are you going to tell me what's got you all contemplative at 8 in the morning?" I pulled up my email, showing her the message from Roman, our creative director. "I got the promotion, head of digital design, effective next month," Louisa squealed, nearly spilling her coffee. "Oh my God, this calls for celebrations. Drinks tonight, no excuses." "There's more." I clicked to another email. "Mom sent me a message yesterday." The smile fell from Louisa's face. She was one of the few people who knew the full story. What does she want? The usual. Money, attention, validation. Apparently, her face isn't holding up as well as the surgeon promised. "Delete it," Louisa said firmly. "You've worked too hard to let her drag you back into her drama." Before I could respond, Roman appeared in the doorway. "Victoria, got a minute? Need your eyes on the Peterson campaign." "Speaking of drama," Louisa whispered as she slipped out, winking at me. I followed Roman to the conference room, where he'd spread dozens of mock-ups across the table. "These are incredible," I said, examining the designs. "Who's the lead on this?" "You are, starting today." He smiled, watching my reaction. "Consider it your first project as head of digital design." "Roman, You earned this," he cut me off. 8 years ago, you walked into my previous agency as an intern from community college. Remember what you said in that interview?" I laughed. "That I'd either be your best hire or your biggest mistake. And you've been proving it was the first option ever since." He gathered the mock-ups into a neat pile. "Though I have to ask, are you okay? You seem distracted this morning." I hesitated. Roman had become more than a boss over the years. He was a mentor, sometimes even a father figure. "Just family stuff. Nothing I can't handle." "Family has a way of complicating things," he said carefully. "But don't let old ghosts haunt your future." My phone buzzed. Another text from Lionel. "Mum's getting desperate. She's been calling everyone. Even tried Uncle Jack." "Speaking of ghosts," I muttered. That evening, Louisa dragged me to our favourite bar, insisting we properly celebrate the promotion. The place was packed, but we managed to snag our usual corner booth. "To the new head of digital design," Louisa raised her glass, "and to telling toxic family members to shove it." "You're terrible," I laughed, but clinked glasses anyway. "Seriously, though," she said, leaning forward, "what are you going to do about your mom?" I traced the condensation on my glass. "Nothing. She made her choice 8 years ago. She can deal with the consequences." But Lionel says it's bad this time. Something about the surgery rejecting after all these years. He thinks she needs another procedure, but can't afford it. And let me guess, she suddenly remembered she has a successful daughter. My phone lit up with an unknown number. I declined the call, but a voicemail notification appeared seconds later. "Play it," Louisa urged. "On speaker." I hesitated, then hit play. "Victoria, mi hija," my mother's voice filled our corner, smaller somehow than I remembered. "I know I don't deserve to ask for your help, but I don't know what else to do. The doctors say, they say if I don't get this fixed soon, please just call me back." Louisa reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "You okay? You know what's funny?" I took a long drink. "Part of me has been waiting for this moment, waiting for karma to catch up with her. So why don't I feel better?" "Because you're not her," Louisa said simply. "You're better than that." My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Uncle Jack. "We need to talk about your mother. There's something you should know." I showed the message to Louisa, who raised an eyebrow. "Didn't you say he hasn't spoken to your mum in years?" "Exactly." I finished my drink and stood up. "Which means whatever this is, it's serious." "What are you going to do?" I grabbed my jacket, already pulling up Uncle Jack's number. I'm going to find out exactly what kind of karma we're dealing with. As I stepped outside to make the call, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Some debts, it seems, take years to come due. She's dying, Victoria. Uncle Jack's words crackled through my phone, cutting through the night air. The surgery she got, the one with your money, it's killing her. I leaned against the cold brick wall outside the bar, my free hand pressed against my stomach. What do you mean, killing her? The doctor used experimental fillers, cheaper than the standard ones. They're breaking down now, causing infections. Her immune system is shutting down. A group of drunk college students stumbled past, their laughter a stark contrast to the heaviness settling in my chest. Why are you telling me this, Uncle Jack? You haven't spoken to her in, 10 years? She showed up at my door yesterday, looking like something out of a horror movie. Half her face is... It's not good, kid. He sighed heavily. I may hate what she did to you, but she's still my sister. I closed my eyes, remembering the last time I'd seen her. Christmas 5 years ago. She'd been so proud of her eternal youth, bragging about how everyone thought she was Lionel's sister instead of his mother. Victoria? Louisa appeared beside me, concern etched on her face. You've been out here for 20 minutes. I held up one finger, turning back to the phone. How much does she need? 80,000 for the corrective surgeries. Insurance won't cover it since the original procedure was elective. Uncle Jack paused. Look, I know you have every right to tell her to go to hell. I'll think about it, I cut him off. That's all I can promise right now. After hanging up, I told Louisa everything. She listened without interrupting, then pulled me into a fierce hug. Let's get you home, she said. You shouldn't be making any decisions tonight. But sleep proved impossible. At 3 a.m., I called Lionel. I was wondering when you'd call, he answered immediately. You talked to Uncle Jack. Why didn't you tell me how bad it was? Would you have believed me? His voice was tired. You've worked so hard to build your new life, Vicky. I didn't want to be the one to drag you back. I got up, pacing my apartment. Have you seen her? Yesterday. He trailed off. She's scared. Really scared. And for the first time in her life, her looks can't save her. Morning came too quickly. I dragged myself into the office, running on coffee and anxiety. Roman took one look at me and pulled me into his office. Sit, he ordered, closing the door. Talk. I collapsed into his chair. My mother's facing some serious medical issues. Issues caused by a surgery she got with money she stole from me 8 years ago. Ah, he leaned against his desk. And now she needs your help? $80,000 worth of help? I laughed bitterly. The exact amount that would have covered my first 2 years at UCLA. Life has a twisted sense of humor sometimes. Roman studied me for a moment. Want to know what I think? Please. I think you're not actually struggling with whether to help her or not. You're struggling with why you want to help her at all. The truth of his words hit me hard. She doesn't deserve it. Probably not, he agreed. But deserving has nothing to do with it. The question is, what can you live with? My phone buzzed, a text from Uncle Jack with a photo attached. I opened it and immediately wished I hadn't. My mother's face was distorted, one side swollen and discoloured. She looked like a different person. Oh, God, I whispered. Roman glanced at the photo. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't forgiving someone else. It's forgiving yourself for still caring. I should hate her, I said, my voice breaking. After everything she did, I should want her to suffer. But you don't. No. I wiped my eyes. I don't. Take the day, Roman said, squeezing my shoulder. Sort this out. The Peterson campaign can wait. Outside his office, I called Uncle Jack back. Give me her number. Victoria. I'm not promising anything, I said quickly, but I need to hear it from her. All of it. The truth about why she did it, why she's never apologized, everything. And then I watched the office buzz around me, the life I'd built from the ashes of her betrayal. Then I'll decide if karma needs my help or not. As I gathered my things to leave, Louisa appeared with fresh coffee. Where are you going? To face some ghosts, I said, showing her the photo. Want to come be my backup? She linked her arm through mine. Always, but first... We're getting something stronger than coffee. The elevator doors closed and I took a deep breath. 8 years ago, my mother's vanity had stolen my future. Now her vanity was stealing her life. The question was, would I be the bigger person, or would I let karma finish what it started? I sat in my parked car outside the coffee shop, staring at my mother's number on my phone screen. Louisa squeezed my hand. "You don't have to do this," she reminded me. "Yes, I do." I pressed dial before I could change my mind. 3 rings, 4. Then, "Victoria?" My mother's voice was different, muffled like she was speaking through cotton. "Is it really you?" "Hi, Mom." The words felt foreign in my mouth. "We need to talk." "Oh, mi hija, thank God, I've been trying to reach you." "Stop." I cut her off. "Before we go any further, I need you to answer one question. Why did you do it?" Silence stretched between us. In the background, I could hear a TV playing. "I was afraid," she finally said, "of getting old, of becoming invisible. You don't understand what it's like." "You're right, I don't understand." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I don't understand how you could steal your daughter's future for your face." "I thought," she coughed, a wet, painful sound. "I thought I could pay you back. There was this man, he promised me investment opportunities." "Of course there was." I laughed, but there was no humour in it. "There's always a man, or an opportunity, or an excuse." "Victoria, please." Her voice cracked. "I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm scared. The doctors say the infection is spreading. My immune system." "I saw the photo Uncle Jack sent." I closed my eyes, trying to block out the image. "How much time did they give you? Without the surgery? 3 months, maybe less?" She started crying, the sound distorted through what I assumed was facial swelling. "I don't want to die like this." Louisa pulled out her tablet, showing me something she'd been researching. Medical articles about experimental fillers, lawsuits, complications. My mother wasn't the only victim. "The money you need," I said, scrolling through the articles. 80,000. That's a specific number." "Yes." She hesitated. "The same amount I took from you." "Finally, she admits it," I muttered. Louder, I asked, "Have you looked into payment plans? Medical loans?" "My credit is—" She trailed off. "After the investment scam, I had to declare bankruptcy. No one will lend to me." I thought about my savings account, the money I'd scraped together over 8 years of hard work, the down payment for the house I'd been planning to buy. "Victoria?" she prompted when I didn't respond. "I need time to think," I said, "and I need something else from you." "Anything. I want the truth, all of it. Not just about the money, but about everything. Why you never apologized, why you acted like I was the one who wronged you. All of it." Another pause. "Can we meet, please? These things, they shouldn't be said over the phone." I looked at Louisa, who nodded encouragingly. "Fine. I'll fly down this weekend." "Thank you," she whispered. "Victoria, Don't," I stopped her. "Don't say you're sorry now, not like this. Not because you need something from me." After hanging up, I let my head fall against the steering wheel. Louisa rubbed my back. "You okay?" "No." I sat up, wiping my eyes. "But I will be. Let's get back to the office. I need to talk to Roman about taking some time off." "What are you going to do about the money?" I pulled up my banking app, staring at the numbers. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants to let her face the consequences of her actions, but another part doesn't want to become her," Louisa finished. My phone buzzed with a text from Lionel. "Just heard you're coming home. Want me to pick you up from the airport?" "Yes," I typed back. "And Leo. Make sure she understands if I help her, it's not forgiveness. It's mercy." "Sometimes they're the same thing," he responded. Back at the office, Roman was waiting. "How'd it go?" "I'm going to need those vacation days we discussed," I said, dropping into a chair, "and possibly a very large advance on my new salary." He studied me for a moment, then opened his desk drawer. "I've been saving this for a special occasion." He pulled out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. "Want to tell me what you're thinking?" I accepted the glass he offered. "I'm thinking about karma and choices. and whether becoming the thing you hate is worse than being the thing you fear. Heavy thoughts for 4 in the afternoon. Heavy choices for any time. I took a sip, letting the liquor burn. She took my future once. Now I have the power to take hers. But I don't know if I can live with that choice. I pulled up the flight booking website on my phone. Even if she deserves it. Roman refilled my glass. Sometimes the hardest choices aren't between right and wrong. They're between wrong and less wrong. I booked the flight for Friday morning. 3 days to decide, karma or mercy. The airport coffee shop where I agreed to meet Uncle Jack hadn't changed in 8 years. Neither had he. Same leather jacket, same salt and pepper beard, same disapproving scowl. "You look good, kid," he said, pushing a coffee toward me. "Success suits you." "Thanks." I settled into the chair across from him. "Now tell me what was so urgent it couldn't wait until I got to Mom's." He pulled out his phone, sliding it across the table. "Your mother wasn't the only one who made bad choices about appearances." I looked at the photo on his screen. A much younger version of my mother, maybe 20 years old, standing next to an equally young Uncle Jack. Her face was bruised, her arm in a cast. "What is this?" "The first time your mother tried to fix herself." He took his phone back. "Our father was traditional, believed women should be beautiful, silent, and obedient. Your mother learned early that her looks were her only currency." "That doesn't excuse—" "No, it doesn't," he cut me off. "But it explains. After that accident, she got her first nose job. Then breast implants at 22. By 30, she'd had 3 surgeries. Each time, she swore it would be the last. A waitress stopped by offering refills. I waited until she left before speaking. Why are you telling me this now? Because you need to understand, this isn't just about vanity. Your mother's been running from her reflection her whole life." He leaned forward. "The doctor who did her last surgery. He preys on women like her. Desperate, damaged. Offers them miracles at discount prices." My phone buzzed. "Lionel. At Mom's. It's worse than the pictures." "Where are you?" "She's still our mother," Uncle Jack said quietly. "Despite everything." "Would you help her?" I asked. "If you had the money." He sat back, running a hand through his beard. "I already offered." She refused. "What? Why?" "Pride, maybe. Or shame. She said she wouldn't take money from anyone but you." "Of course not," I laughed bitterly, "because it has to be me. It has to be the money she stole coming back to save her." "Or maybe," he said carefully, "because you're the only one she thinks deserves to decide her fate." I stood up, grabbing my bag. "I need to see her." "Victoria!" Uncle Jack caught my arm. "Whatever you decide, remember, we become what we do, not what's done to us." Lionel was waiting outside Mom's house when my Uber pulled up. He hugged me tight, whispering, "Brace yourself." The house was darker than I remembered, curtains drawn against the afternoon sun. Family photos still lined the hallway, memories of a time when we were whole, when trust wasn't a currency we traded in. "Vicky," Mom's voice came from the living room. "Is that you?" I stepped through the doorway and froze. The woman on the couch barely resembled my mother. Her face was grotesquely swollen on one side, the skin mottled and stretched. The other side sagged, as if the tissue beneath was dissolving. "Oh, Mom," I whispered. "Don't look at me." She turned away, covering her face with shaking hands. "Please don't look at me." I sat beside her, my anger warring with an overwhelming surge of pity. "The doctor who did this, can he be prosecuted?" "He's already fled the country," Lionel said from the doorway. 3 other women have filed complaints." "Victoria," Mom lowered her hands, her good eye finding mine. "I know I have no right to ask." "Stop." I pulled out my phone, bringing up my banking app. "Before we discuss anything, I need to hear it, all of it. Starting with why you never said sorry." She nodded slowly, painfully. "Because saying sorry meant admitting what I'd done. Not just to you, but to myself. And I couldn't. I couldn't face being that person. The mother who sacrificed her daughter's future for her own vanity. And now? Now?" She gestured to her ruined face. Now I am exactly what I always feared becoming: ugly, worthless, invisible. Mom, no, let me finish. She straightened, wincing with the effort. I destroyed something beautiful, your trust, your love, to create something artificial. And now both are gone. My phone buzzed again, Louisa. Whatever you decide, I support you. But remember who you are. I looked at my mother, really looked at her. Behind the swelling and decay, I saw something I'd never noticed before: fear. The same fear that had driven her all these years, the fear that had cost me my future, was now eating her alive. $80,000, I said quietly. The exact amount you took. Yes, I stood up, my decision crystallizing. I'll help you, but this time, we're doing it my way. The look of hope that crossed her distorted features made my heart clench. I just prayed I was making the right choice, not just for her, but for the person I wanted to be. These are my conditions, I said, placing the contract on the coffee table between us. First, I'm not giving you the money directly. I'll pay the hospital and doctors myself. Mom nodded, her good eye fixed on the papers. Second, I continued, you'll attend therapy, weekly sessions for at least a year. I've already found someone who specializes in body image issues. Victoria, she started to protest. Non-negotiable. I pushed the contract closer. Third, you'll sign this promissory note. It's not legally binding. We both know you can't pay it back. But it's a reminder. Every month you'll write me a letter. Not about the money, but about your progress, your therapy, your understanding of what happened. Lionel, who'd been quiet until now, picked up the contract. This is thorough. I had Roman's lawyer draw it up this morning. I turned back to Mom. Last condition, you tell the truth. To everyone. About what you did with my college fund, about this sketchy doctor, all of it. Other women need to know. Mom's hands trembled as she reached for the papers. And if I agree to all this, then I'll help you. But understand something. This isn't forgiveness. This is me choosing not to become the kind of person who could watch their mother suffer, even if she deserves it. I understand, she whispered. Do you? I leaned forward. Because I need you to really hear this. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me, for the person I want to be. Tears rolled down her distorted face. I don't deserve you. No, you don't. I handed her a pen. Sign it. As she scrawled her signature, Uncle Jack appeared in the doorway. The hospital called. They can take her tomorrow morning if you can make the deposit today. I pulled out my phone, pulling up my banking app one last time. 8 years of savings, gone in a single transfer. The irony wasn't lost on me. Done, I said, showing Mom the confirmation. The surgery's paid for. She tried to reach for my hand, but I stood up, stepping back. Victoria, please, I need some air. I headed for the door, but Lionel caught up with me on the porch. You're doing the right thing, he said. Am I? I turned to face him. Because right now it feels like I'm rewarding her for being exactly who she's always been. No, he shook his head. You're showing her who you are, who you chose to become despite her, not because of her. My phone rang, Louisa's ringtone. Hey, I answered. Perfect timing. How'd it go? Did you do it? Yeah. I walked down the porch steps, needing distance from the house. The money's gone, surgery's tomorrow. How do you feel? Honestly, like I just got played again. I kicked at a rock on the sidewalk. She's sitting in there crying, acting grateful, but 8 years ago, she didn't shed a single tear when she took my future. Maybe she's changed, Louisa suggested. Or maybe she's just desperate. I watched a car drive past, its headlights cutting through the gathering dusk. Either way, I guess I'll find out. The letter she has to write me, they'll tell me everything I need to know. Uncle Jack emerged from the house, lighting a cigarette. Your mother wants to know if you'll come to the hospital tomorrow. I covered the phone. Tell her I'll think about it. Back on the phone, Louisa asked, Will you go? I don't know. I sighed, watching Uncle Jack's cigarette glow in the darkness. Part of me wants to be as absent as she was when I needed her. But then I'd just be playing her game, wouldn't I? You're not her, Louisa reminded me. You never will be. Inside, I could hear Mom crying, her sobs carrying through the open window. 8 years ago, those tears would have broken my heart. Now they just made me tired. I should go, I told Louisa. I need to check into my hotel and call Roman about extending my leave. Victoria, Mom called from inside. Please, don't leave yet. There's so much I need to say. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of 8 years of pain, anger, and unspoken words. I'll call you back, I told Louisa. Walking back into the house felt like stepping into the past. But this time, I was the one with the power, the one with the choice. Okay, Mom, I said, sitting down across from her. Talk, but remember, this time, I'm the one who gets to decide if your words are worth anything. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, counting down the moments until tomorrow's surgery. Until we'd find out if Karma would accept my intervention, or if it had other plans for us both. The hospital waiting rooms smelled like anxiety and cheap coffee. I sat between Leonel and Uncle Jack, watching the surgery clock tick past hour 3. She'll be okay, Leonel said, though his bouncing leg betrayed his nerves. The surgery isn't what I'm worried about. I checked my phone, another message from Roman asking for updates. It's what comes after. Ms. Ramos? A nurse appeared, clipboard in hand. Your mother's out of surgery. The doctor would like to speak with you. We followed her through sterile corridors to a consultation room where a tired-looking surgeon waited. The surgery was successful, he said without preamble. We removed all the infected tissue and foreign material. However, he paused, looking at each of us. The damage was extensive. She'll need several reconstructive procedures over the next year. But she'll live? Uncle Jack asked. Yes, she'll live, though her face will never be what it was. I almost laughed at the irony. When can we see her? She's in recovery now. 1 visitor at a time, 10 minutes each. Leonel went first, then Uncle Jack. I waited, trying to compose the text I'd been drafting to Louisa all morning. Your turn, Leonel said, returning. She's asking for you. Mom lay surrounded by machines, her face heavily bandaged. Only her eyes were visible, and they fixed on me the moment I entered. Victoria, she tried to smile, but winced. You came. I said I would. I sat in the chair beside her bed. The doctor says you'll need more surgeries. I know. Her hand crept toward mine on the blanket, but stopped short. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday about telling the truth. And I want to do it, not just letters to you, but everything. The doctor who did this. There might be other women out there thinking about using him. There are. I pulled out my tablet, showing her what Louisa had found. At least 12 cases like yours in the past year. Help me stop him, she whispered. Help me make this right. You really want to do this? Go public, tell everyone how vanity nearly killed you? I want to be someone you can be proud of, her voice cracked. Even if it's too late. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Time's up. Wait, Mom caught my wrist as I stood. The letters. When should I start? When you're stronger. I gently removed her hand. Focus on healing first. Outside, I found Leonel and Uncle Jack in heated discussion with a hospital administrator. What's wrong? Insurance issue, Leonel explained. They're saying some of the follow-up procedures might not be covered. How much? Another 40,000 minimum. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of decisions yet to come. My phone buzzed. Roman. Victoria? Got a minute? Actually, the Peterson campaign loved your work. They want to double the contract. There's a significant bonus involved. I stepped away from the others. How significant? Enough to cover whatever you need for your mother's medical bills, plus some. Roman, I can't. Yes, you can. You earned this. The timing's just fortunate. Later that night, in my hotel room, I called Louisa. So, she said, Karma's got a sense of humour. More like a twisted sense of justice. I lay back on the bed. Mum wants to go public about everything. Help warn other women about that doctor. Do you believe her? I don't know. I stared at the ceiling. But I want to. That's something, isn't it? My laptop pinged, an email from Mum's nurse. She'd written her first letter, refusing to wait until she was stronger. "Dear Victoria," it began, "I've spent 8 years running from mirrors, but today I finally saw myself clearly. In the recovery room, looking at what my choices have cost me, I realized something. The ugliest part of me was never my face. It was what I did to you." The letter continued, raw and honest in a way my mother had never been. By the end, my cheeks were wet. "You okay?" Louisa asked, still on the phone. "No," I admitted. "But maybe that's okay." A text from Lionel lit up my phone. "Mom's asking if you'll come back tomorrow. Says she has more to say." I thought about the Peterson bonus, about karma's strange timing, about second chances that come disguised as consequences. "Tell her I'll be there," I typed back, "but remind her words are just the beginning." "What are you thinking?" Louisa asked. "I'm thinking about mirrors," I said, "and how sometimes we need to break before we can see ourselves clearly. Tomorrow would bring more decisions, more surgeries, more truth. But for now, in this moment, I felt something I hadn't expected. Hope. Not for forgiveness, that would take more than letters and confessions, but for understanding. For change. Maybe that's what Karma had planned all along. "Are you ready?" I asked, adjusting Mum's collar as we sat in the television studio's green room. "No," she admitted, touching her face, still scarred but healing. "But I need to do this." The producer poked her head in. "5 minutes, Mrs. Ramos. Victoria, you'll be joining her after the first segment." Mom grabbed my hand. "What if I freeze? What if I can't?" "Then I'll be there." I squeezed back, surprising us both. "Just tell the truth. That's all anyone needs to hear." The interview started exactly as we'd prepared. Mom described her history with plastic surgery, the illegal doctor, the complications. But when the host asked about funding the original surgery, she went off script. "I stole the money," she said clearly, "from my daughter's college fund." The host leaned forward. "That must have been a difficult decision." "No," Mom's voice strengthened. "It wasn't difficult at all. That's what makes it so horrible. I took my child's future without a second thought, because I was so consumed by my own reflection." "Victoria," the host turned to me as I joined them, "how does it feel hearing your mother admit this on national television?" "Surreal," I said honestly. "For 8 years I waited for an acknowledgement, an apology, anything. Now, watching her face the consequences, both physical and emotional, I feel—" "Vindicated?" the host suggested. "Human," I corrected. "We're both finally being human with each other." After the interview back in the green room, Mom collapsed into tears. "I didn't think it would be so hard." "The truth usually is." I handed her a tissue. "But the doctor's other victims needed to hear it. They needed to know they're not alone." "Like I made you feel alone?" "Yes." My phone buzzed. Louisa sending a link to an online support group. Already women were sharing similar stories, thanking Mum for speaking out. "Look," I showed her the responses. "It's working." She read through the comments, her hands shaking. "I can't take back what I did to you." "No, you can't. But maybe I can prevent other mothers from doing the same to their daughters." She looked up at me. "Will you help me? With the support group, the advocacy work?" I studied her face, really looked at it. The scars would never fully heal, but there was something new in her eyes, something real. "On one condition," I said. "You keep writing the letters, not just for a year, but until we both feel whole again." "Deal." She hesitated, then added, "I read your response to my first letter. I meant every word. I know, especially the part about not being ready to forgive me. But I'm ready to try," I said softly. "That's more than I could say 8 years ago." The producer returned. "The segment's already going viral. We've got calls from 3 other networks wanting follow-up interviews." Mum looked at me, waiting. I nodded. "We'll do them. All of them. But first, there's somewhere we need to go." An hour later, we stood in front of UCLA's admissions office. Mom frowned. "Why are we here?" "Because," I pulled out an envelope, "part of moving forward is finishing what was interrupted." I handed her the acceptance letter, dated last week. I'm starting my master's degree in the fall, part-time while still working at the firm. But how? The Peterson bonus, remember? Turns out karma works in mysterious ways. I turned to face her. You took my dream once. Now I'm taking it back. Not out of spite, but because it's time. She touched the letter, then my face. This time I didn't pull away. You're everything I should have been, she whispered. No, I shook my head. I'm everything I chose to be, despite everything. That's the difference. My phone rang, Roman calling about another interview request. Before answering, I looked at Mom. Ready to keep telling our story? She squared her shoulders, touching one of her scars almost absently. Ready to tell the truth. And there it was. The thing I'd been waiting for all these years. Not just words of remorse, but actions. Not just apologies, but change. Real, measurable, visible change. Victoria, she said as we walked back to the car, thank you. Not for the money or the surgery, but for showing me how to face myself. I thought about the journey, from betrayal to revenge to something more complex, more human, about karma and choices and the people we become. Mom, I said, using the word intentionally for the first time in years. We're going to be okay. And for the first time, I believed it. Not because everything was fixed, but because we were finally facing the same direction, toward truth, toward healing, toward whatever came next. Together.